Making that transition from solo entrepreneur to CEO of a team is quite difficult because you're bound to make a lot of hiring mistakes. If you are also looking to transition from solo entrepreneur to CEO and you want to make sure that you do it the right way, you're in luck because we're going to get into it right now. Hey, CourtneyLSanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time online life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things, but I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have a team, right? And I was still a solo entrepreneur. However, making that transition from solo entrepreneur to CEO of a team is quite difficult because you're bound to make a lot of hiring mistakes. So I made all the hiring mistakes in the book, and I'm not even saying that I'm like an expert, but I've learned quite a few things as my team has expanded and as I have brought on support. So whether you are looking to actually hire a full-time, employee that you're gonna pay payroll on, or maybe just wanna bring in a part-time contractor, or even if you're looking to hire vendors, maybe other companies to do work for you, there are things that you want to keep in mind, and you definitely want to avoid these mistakes. So if you are also looking to transition from solo entrepreneur to CEO, and you want to make sure that you do it the right way, you're in luck because we're going to get into it right now. All right, the biggest mistake that I made for years, even when I was just bringing on different virtual assistants, was not building in training time, right? So oftentimes there is this idea where we just want to bring in someone who knows what they're doing and so that they can hit the ground running, right? We're like, hey, you're good at bookkeeping, or you know how to organize email and manage my calendar, or you know how to get a website up and running, or you know how to handle the back end tech. And so we just want to hire that person and just like throw the task at them and then run away so that we can have the freedom to do all the things that we need to do. Understand that when you are looking to bring on people, and again, I don't care if it's a contractor or a vendor that you're hiring, you want to make sure that you make yourself available and that you build in some training and transition time. It's not just, hey, you said that you could do this, and so here you go, I'm off to the races. Even a person who is an expert, even something in the case of like an agency, maybe you bring on an ads agency who knows what they're doing and they have their own employees, even they are gonna ask you to fill out some things so that they can learn more about your business, fill out more forms. They're gonna ask you maybe to give them access to different things in your business. Like, there has to be you taking that time to transition, and especially to train if you are looking to bring people in-house. So I understand that you are under the gun, you're under a lot of pressure, and that's the reason why you want to hire, you want to get this stuff off your plate. But I find that it's very helpful if you think about this as a process, right? There's aspects of my team that I've been working with them on well over a year, and it's still not fully transitioned yet. And I don't necessarily see that as a failure. I just see it as, hey, we are transitioning my whole business from being a solo operation to really being a team-based operation. And there's a lot of infrastructure that we need to build in the process, and it takes time, right? So if you're willing to do the groundwork now and take that time, whether it's a few weeks or a few months, or even in my case over a year at this point, understand that when you get to the other side and it's all said and done, you will have the freedom you are looking for a lifetime. So make sure that you are building in that training and transition time. All right, speaking of training and transition, one thing that a lot of business owners also struggle with is not stating the obvious. And this is something that is like, oh my goodness. And I decided to highlight this because oftentimes online entrepreneurs, small business owners are like, okay, fine, I'm gonna build in the time to train and transition this person, but we just go over the high level stuff and we think that we don't need to cover the things that are obvious. Here's what you need to do. In addition to covering how someone needs to do this or what they technically need to do in order to be proficient at the task, you want to make sure that you are communicating your own values and your own standards of excellence, because if you can believe it, everybody has different standards. And I know you feel like it's obvious, of course you should do a good job, but other people have a different definition of what a good job is. Do you expect to be updated on progress for the task every single day, every single week? You should communicate that. Do you expect to receive reports? Do you want the reports done in a certain way? There's all these expectations that we have because, again, our standards and what we believe is excellent or good value is just kind of in our head, and we think everybody understands this, but people come from different backgrounds, and what might be acceptable or even excellence to you might not be the case for that person. So this is actually a good rule, not just in the case of hiring people, but in relationships in general, whether it's relationships with coworkers, relationships with your spouse. If there's anything that you need from someone, make sure, in addition to talking about the technical things that you need, make sure that you are stating the obvious, what you think is obvious. For instance, if you're having a conversation with your husband and you're like, babe, I really need you to take the trash out in the morning because the garbage truck comes, and you say you're gonna get to it and then you forget, and then we have trash for a week. Please take the trash out in the morning. You might think it's obvious that they take the trash out and then also roll the garbage can to the street, but they might just hear, hey, she asked me to take the trash out, so I'm just gonna, take the trash from the kitchen and dump it into the container, and I'm not gonna roll it to the street, right? And I'm just making this up. And for the record, just in case anybody tries any snarky comments, I don't have to remind my husband about this. He does this on his own, but I'm just thinking about this, right? Something as simple as, hey, asking your husband to do something or asking your kids to do something. There's like, hey, I need you to do this thing. But then there's also these unspoken ways that we want it done that we don't communicate. So whatever you think is obvious to you, go ahead and state the obvious, and you'll find that you'll get a lot better results. All right, the next mistake that so many entrepreneurs make is not knowing their numbers, particularly not really knowing their revenue numbers and not knowing what it takes to make consistent sales so that they can consistently maintain that level of support. And this is actually a reason why I was quite skittish to grow my team again, because I've told this story elsewhere on this YouTube channel, but there was a time where I had hired 2 full-time US-based employees, 2017, 2018, but I didn't have a good handle on my numbers. I just knew that I was making a lot of money and that I should be able to afford these people, but because I wasn't sure where the revenue was coming from, what offers it was coming from, and if it was gonna be sustainable, and hint, it wasn't, because at that time I was doing a lot of one-on-one work, and then I found out that I was pregnant with my first child, and I realized that I wasn't gonna be able to maintain that workload doing one-on-one, and so I had to roll off a lot of those engagements, and my revenue took a nosedive, and I ended up having to let those 2 full-time US employees go, and it was like a big bruise to my ego. However, this last go round, where I started to expand my team, I made sure that I was very clear on what my numbers were, what my margins were, what my expenses were. I tracked my spending and expenses basically daily or at least once a week, in addition to working with my bookkeeper and accountant. And I just had a really firm grasp on my numbers, where our revenue was coming from, all of these things. I had built a system to create consistent sales, and so I felt confident that I could start to bring on more support and hire more people. So if that's something that you're struggling with, I actually recommend that you take my free webinar, the Consistent Client Masterclass, which is going to show you the exact system that I use and that I have implemented in my business in order to attract clients consistently, so that you can get to a place where you feel comfortable with your revenue in order to hire more people. All right, I have more where that came from, but first I want to hear from you. Who's the first person you want to hire in your business? Share in the comments below. All right, speaking of numbers, the next mistake that so many small business owners and online entrepreneurs make is that they don't know what their KPIs are. And KPIs stand for key performance indicators. So obviously you need to know your numbers from a standpoint of, okay, I need to know how much I'm making so that I can support this staff person, but you also need to know the numbers of the role. Meaning, if you are bringing on a customer service person, is there a certain amount of emails that they should be able to get through on a daily basis? Is there a certain number of customer support tickets that they should be able to handle? Is there a certain turnaround time? You want everything turned around within 1 business day. What are the metrics that you are going to be looking at to gauge if that person is successful? And it's very important that you know what those are on the outset, because it's not really fair for you to bring someone in and then hold them to a standard that they don't even realize that they're being held to. So this makes it actually easier for you if you do unfortunately have to fire someone or bring someone else on. You can very clearly say, hey, when we first started this role, these are the metrics that I needed you to hit. Unfortunately, these metrics aren't being hit, so I'm gonna have to let you go. This also helps you make that decision as well, because oftentimes we leave people on our team for longer than they need to be there because we're not even clear that they're not doing the work. In fact, they're just kind of like skating by, and we don't even realize that they're skating by because we're not clear on what those key performance indicators are. So think about what are the key metrics that someone needs to be hitting in the particular role that you are looking to hire, and determine what those are ahead of time, and then make sure you communicate those to them, you hold them accountable to them, and that you are reviewing them on a consistent basis so that you'll know the person you hired, whether it's an employee, a contractor, or a vendor, is actually doing a good job. All right, the next mistake that I see so many entrepreneurs make when it goes from transitioning from solo to CEO and hiring people is not having people sign NDAs. Yes, non-disclosure agreements. Especially if you are in the online coaching space or you have a lot of intellectual property, you're developing trainings and coming up with different things that are unique to your process, you want to make sure everyone you work with signs an NDA, whether it is a contractor, whether it's a vendor, or certainly if it's an employee, because you don't want them walking out the door and walking out with all of your valuable information to your competitor, right? So take the time and the expense to hire an attorney to make sure that NDA is drafted correctly and appropriately for whatever your particular industry is. Make sure that it has, all the different features and sections, and you just want to make sure that it's tight and that there are no loopholes, because you want to be able to hold people accountable if they end up taking your intellectual property. So make sure that you protect yourself by getting those NDAs in place. All right, thanks so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are looking to scale from solo to CEO, understand that you need to get your brand to a place where you can generate the kind of revenue where that is possible. And so if you're like, okay, I'm tired of trying to do this on my own. I really want to grow my business, and I don't just want to grow my business, but I want to become the next big name in my industry. I invite you to apply to my program, the Next Big Name Bootcamp. In this bootcamp, it is a 12-month program. You get direct coaching, feedback, and I show you my entire methodology for getting to the place where I am today. So if you want to grow a business like mine and you want to be able to develop a team the way I have, I highly encourage you to check out that program. You can learn more about it by clicking the link below and apply. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you loved it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait for my next video, make sure you're following me on my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next podcast episode or my next YouTube video, make sure you are following me on Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders on Instagram. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.